Hello guys and welcome back to the Darwin setup guide. In this part it's finally time to look a little bit deeper into the geometry of the Darwin. In this part I want to talk about the strap drive adjustments, and in the next part I'm going to talk about the direct drive adjustments. As you may know or not, the Darwin offers both drive systems. So the basic Darwin can handle a strap drive as well as a direct drive. If you're curious about the conversion between those drives, I've made a video about that, or where I show you how to do that recently, and I'll once again put the link also in the playlist of this setup guide, but also I put the link in the description of this video so you get a clue how this whole mechanism works. The whole strap drive cam offers two main features to adjust or to mess around with. One is a round to eccentric adjustment. Basically, the pedal allows you to open up this cam. So there's a independent section over here in the front, and that can be shifted outwards towards the drum head. That makes the whole cam more eccentric. The other adjustment is the, how I like to call it, power edge, which is a certain reference point where the strap has to hop over if you increase this adjustment. So I will show you what that does in a minute. First, the basic adjustment I like to use is always the round to eccentric adjustment all the way in, and I usually like to have the strap cam a little bit tilted upwards so the power edge doesn't grip that much into the movement and its basic motion, but when you go very fast, the beta automatically swings a little bit further back than it's supposed to, and that actually activates the power edge and gives you a pretty cool point that needs to overcome and gives you a little bit of extra power, which I really like, but you really need to experiment with that. If you want to completely get rid of that, you're always able to just tilt the strap drive cam further down, and to get back to your same footboard height you need to increase the footboard height again by just moving the adjustment further towards the heel part in order to lift up the footboard. And that's one thing I wanted to say with, if you need a very special setup, a very short or a very long strap drive, if you don't want to have this power edge activated at all, it might necessary or it might interesting when you like to play with a high footboard angle to have a shorter strap drive. So if you need something like that, just feel free to reach out to me and I'm more than happy to customize one for you. With that being said, that's one direction to go. Obviously the other direction is to lift up that thing, and the cool thing is that this adjustment, the power edge, basically leads you to a feeling that's very close to direct drive pedal, but without the, let's say, disadvantages. It's always a little hard to say it, to name it a disadvantage, but basically what it does, it's doing the movement. You don't have this linear move, so when you press into the pedal, it doesn't speed up in a straight line. It basically snaps over a certain point. So you have this snappy feeling you probably used to know from a direct drive pedal, but you don't, because of the geometry or because how the strap drive rolls over, you don't have the, let's say, this weird feeling that maybe comes up that your pedal is running away underneath your feet, which is a certain problem with direct drive pedals now and then, because a direct drive pedal usually starts on the heavy side, and during the movement it becomes lightweight or more lightweight, so it can lead to a more or less unnatural feeling, and you don't have this when you work with a very extreme lifted power edge on the strap drive. That's one of the general feeling you're looking for when it comes to a pedal. Obviously when you go all the way down, you completely remove this power edge, and you do have this solid linear heavy feeling you probably know from a round chain cam from various other pedals. So there is actually, in this cam rotation, there's already quite a movement, quite some adjustment going on. And once again, I highly recommend to just take a picture and know the reference point, or just set your pedal to a certain reference point and then go both directions. And then you will see when you go in slow steps if it's something you like or if it's something you don't like. And then increase, decrease it, and just find your sweet spot. The second adjustment, obviously the split cam, is a little bit, or it looks a little bit more complicated than it actually is. There is a locking screw underneath the cam. Hopefully you can see it, probably it's located here. So to adjust this setup, you obviously need to loosen this locking screw underneath with your regular drum key. So once this locking screw is open, you're basically able to rotate on this screw clockwise and counterclockwise in order to pull the segment outwards and make the whole cam more eccentric than it's used to be. So when you just move this part counterclockwise, I hope you can see it, this whole cam opens up and completely changes its shape. Once you've found the setup, it's very important to lock this screw underneath again, because otherwise there is the chance that the screw get lost. I mean, the whole construction will work without the screw as well, but in order to be safe, make sure that this screw is tightened again and you're good to go. So as you can see now, this whole adjustment looks, or this whole cam looks quite different compared to what it looked before. So basically this whole segment got opened up quite a bit, and that leads to a more eccentric setup. So an eccentric setup compared to round setup spins up the pedal not in a straight line, it spins it up in a curve. So it starts slow but spins it up faster during the motion. So it some sort of accelerates during the motion. It's something you might like or might not. That's the thing that why this adjustment is completely independent and flexible to adapt. It's similar to this power edge adjustment, but it works in a more natural or in a more calm way, let's say, compared to this power edge. So when you make a pedal, or when you make this whole cam open up and make it more eccentric, it does have a similarity to this power edge adjustment, but it's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more on the easy side. The cool thing now is you can combine these two setups. So you combine the round to eccentric adjustment with the power edge adjustment. Interestingly, a pedal feels completely different when you have the cam open up all the way, have it very eccentric, but tilt it all the way down. So I have it at this adjustment where the power edge is not activated at all, compared to having the cam all the way in and having the power edge activated quite a bit and every step in between. So there are various different setup options that are absolutely worth experimenting with. And yeah, once again, try it in slow steps, and once you find so I would recommend to just experiment first with the power edge, go back to a standard position, and then I would recommend to experiment with the round to eccentric adjustment. And after you found a sweet spot there as well, try to combine and experiment with the combination of both setups a little bit, and maybe you're able to find another sweet spot that fits even better than both standard setups with just slightly modified adjustments here and there. So I think, once again, I've talked enough about that stuff. If you do have any questions, as usual, feel free to reach out to me. And until then, see you in the next part.